Well, good morning, everybody. Thank y'all for showing up on this nice rainy morning, and I believe fall is here in Sky Valley. I want to thank, first of all, the Sky Valley Garden Club, who is working with our Public Works Department, and they're going to start decorating the corners for fall, and they always look wonderful. Also, our hay bale trail is in the works, and I think it's going to be better than ever this year. So with that said, I'm going to ask Councilman Allred if he will offer our invocation.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Bow with me if you will. Heavenly Father, we pray your blessing on this meeting and everyone who participates in it. We ask that you help us to carefully consider each new idea, cautiously weighing the impacts of our decisions against the benefits that they may offer. Father, help us to ensure that our deliberations focus on the greater good without consideration for our own personal agendas. Help us to conduct ourselves in a manner that would be pleasing to you and bring respect to our city. Father, we thank you for your involvement in our lives and in the life of our community, for without you, we are helpless. In the unmatched and powerful name of Jesus, our Christ, our Redeemer, and our hope. Amen.
Amen. And I guess before we go any further, I just want to acknowledge that one of our councilmen, Bill Oliver, is in the hospital this morning in open heart surgery. So I would also ask that everyone in our community and here this morning to pray for his quick recovery and healing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Amen, Bruce. All right, on our agenda, we are now for the approval of the minutes. So do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from 8/17, both sessions, and August the 23rd as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Tony. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ed. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of approving of these minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now for the adoption of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Bruce. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. All right, Jason, if you'll please give the city manager report.
Madam Mayor, Council, everyone in attendance, good morning. This is my report for the September of this year, 2021. A longtime employee, James Holbrook, has left the city to explore other career opportunities, and we wish him well in his new endeavor. Jerry Shope, who is here today, has been named interim Public Works Director. Jerry has been with the city for about close to 14 years now. He is both very knowledgeable and competent. We are confident he will continue to do a great job for the city. We are also working through the HR process to fill the Public Works Director position, and a decision and announcement will be forthcoming very soon. The auditors are finalizing the audit, and we should be receiving a draft very soon. They do plan to come up and present their findings to you all. Hopefully it will be for the October council meeting next month. My most recent conversation with Mr. Lamar Hare, the contractor who was chosen to install the culverts on Sky Valley Way, right out here. The piping is being made, so that is progress. As you all know, materials are certainly in demand and slow to be received. Once he is in receipt of them, he will be reaching out with a start date. Again, delays in materials throughout the market is the cause. We do plan to have this project completed by or before the end of this calendar year. We are awaiting just a couple of road maintenance easements for the Southern Road project. In fact, I received another one yesterday. I believe we have one holdout. We're going to be working through that progress to try to obtain that and get this project going. The city staff has completed a responsible draft budget for the 2022 budget year to include capital expenses that would include a proposed construction of a third pickleball court. We will be having those required budget hearings next month, and the announcement with those dates will be forthcoming very soon. Dustin Hensley, our Public Works employee, should be completing his CDL training toward the end of this month. He also passed his CDL driving test last Friday. We're very proud of him, and we're looking forward to his return and contributing to the city with the use of his licensing. This is something that's sorely needed. We're hoping to be getting him in the Freightliner truck next month. That's the bucket truck to start with the tree canopy clearing and also transporting some of our heavy equipment throughout the city.
Alberts isn't with the city anymore. Isn't with the city anymore. He left.
Apologize, I needed that individual. Finally, last month, we had a rep with Smart Earth Technology come up to speak about their LTEM. That is the cellular meter reading technology. We're going to partner with them to do a 10-meter pilot test program. Jerry and I have spoken about that. We're going to be trying to get this going here very soon. I did speak with Justin McCall, who is with the Raven County Water Authority. They are doing a 5-unit pilot program, and he says they've had success with that. So we are looking forward to seeing how well that would work here in the city. Obviously, the biggest concern with that is going to be the connectivity with cellular, but according to Justin, there are some places in the county that they do not, or you cannot receive cellular service. However, the meters are able to pick up. Of course, that uses a different bandwidth. It uses LTEM, which stands for machine. So we should be starting that, and that concludes my report. I do want to wish Jerry a birthday, happy birthday today. Today is his birthday. I believe he's 29. So, but other than that, I will stop there.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. Any comments or questions on the city manager report from the council?
At this time.
The one thing I did not add in the report, you all should have received the latest budget versus actual. We should be tracking around 66% of our expenditures. Most of our funds are there just a little below. And some of you, I have sent a revised budget with the 2021 budget, what's spent year to date, and then estimations what we'll spend at the end of the year, as well as our proposed 2022 budget. So if you haven't had a chance to check your emails, that should be there. But thank you so much.
Thank you for your report, Jason. Any comments from the people here? Right, thank you. All right, now for department reports, Jason.
We'll let Jerry Shope, interim public works director, come forward and share his thoughts on what's going on. with our
Good morning.
public works.
I guess you all know me. I'm Jerry Shope, and I'm acting as the interim director right now, and got a lot on me right now, but we'll get through it. And we've been pushing, trying to get closing down on the grass season and that kind of stuff, and getting stuff ready for fall. I've got everything set up pretty good right now. Everything's in line. Just got to get it done. Just to the people coming, getting their fall fest stuff and this, that, and the other, getting hay bales and that kind of stuff. But another thing I wanted to touch on is I've been here for 14 years and I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate this opportunity. And the city to me is, the whole city is great. The city entrance is one thing, it needs to look well, but I don't consider anything as being as a back burner. I think everything in the city, everybody needs to be treated the same and take care of the city all throughout the city the way that it should be taken care of. And got some trees to be taken down coming up Monday and Tuesday that are causing hazard problems around houses, edges of the roads. Gonna have Lee Tallies coming in to take care of those. Culverts, got some culverts that need attention, some of them that we could take care of, and some of them we'll probably have to contract out, as me and Jason was talking about. And one of them's a pretty big issue up around Forest Court, around Milton Gillespie's, but I think we can get through it and get it handled. And I'm willing to do whatever, work with anybody, whatever I need to do to make it better for the city.
Jerry, would you talk a little bit about improving the roads, what your process is for potholes and so forth?
Oh, yeah, we got, actually, the guy that come up and met with me about Milton's, of course, it was raining, it was late that evening, he's coming back, and, we're gonna go through and pick out the worst patches. Of course, I've got a list. He's been doing it a lot longer than I have, and we're gonna start patching some of the roads, like out on Ridgepole. I think it's just down below your house, there's a big
Swale.
swell right there that needs to be addressed. It probably should have been done a little bit before now, but it just keeps getting worse. And he'll take that out. We'll get some prices, and the bigger patches are something that you need to let somebody else that's got the proper equipment take care of. The small patches, I can do it. I used to help do asphalt work. But if you get over 6 or 8 foot and you're just using a plate tank which vibrates along and that kind of stuff, that's about all you can do with those. But if you use the right equipment, you can get the other ones done. It'll come out more level than it would, and the transition will be a lot better than jarring your eye teeth out when you go through
It wakes you up.
it. Yeah, it does. It does.
Any other?
Jerry, do you have anything on the agenda for that dip that we have in the pavers as you leave Sky Valley?
I do. Actually, I had mentioned that with another one of my employees, Cody English. They had taken it out. I don't remember exactly when, but they had pulled it out and worked on it one time, but it didn't do exactly right. But we have planned on, I said, we're gonna have to go back in there and redo it as well. It just sank in. I don't think they went and got it down to good ground to start back with it, and then put the pavers back on top of it, and then put the sand back in it. Couldn't use sand back in there with it.
Okay.
Jerry, you mentioned an issue on Forest Court. What was that?
That is it's a culvert issue. It comes across from, you familiar with Missy Leathers?
Yes.
Lives up there. Okay, at the bottom of her driveway, there's a galvanized culvert. It comes under her driveway, goes over and through Milton's, but the far part of Milton's driveway or apron is city property.
Right.
He's got a box there that his gutters come off and go in, but at some point before my time, that's probably, how deep do you think that is? 25, 30 foot? Off of his back wall, and they come in there and fixed it, but I don't know how they fixed it. It's got a black 18-inch or 20-inch pipe coming up to the galvanized. And I don't know if they clamped it to it or if they just slid it up over it. And now there's a problem there, and they've had a couple of sinkholes and we've patched them. And the last storm we had, it pushed one of the patches back out of the ground. And we went back up the other day and reheated the asphalt, got it back down, but it's gonna be a pretty good issue to get
So
that
in other
back
words, the
together.
culvert is somehow broken, or the water's going around the culvert, creating
Right.
voids under the driveway.
It is, it's not going through the culvert, and at the backside of his wall, it's stopped, his concrete box that goes down, and there's holes that comes out of it, that goes into it to let it exit. But it's not going out, it's just coming out in it and filling that box up. So it's going around it and getting in the box instead of going all through the culvert. I don't know exactly how they pieced the two back together. To me, the plastic pipe is way better than galvanized pipe. And I'm thinking that's where the issue is gonna be, where they come in and attach it. I think it's probably 10 or 20 feet across from Missy's driveway. They come across with that pipe and connected it, or butt connected it, just pushed it to it. And I don't know exactly how to it, but we'll have to get to that source to see what's going on and have to repair it from there.
Yeah, but basically it's a city culvert, so it's a city problem since we created it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
got it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jerry, I just want to congratulate you. You've done an excellent job, and we just have all the confidence in the world for the future. We're just glad you're here.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I just want to add, Jerry, he's almost being a little modest there. The public works staff is down 2 people right now. That's not an excuse. They are taking that challenge head on. We're not immune to staffing shortages like everybody else seems to be, but we are trying to work diligently. As Jerry said, we reached out to some contractors that can try to help us maintain the level of service that the citizenry expects. And this will be just down below Mr. Gillespie, that is a pretty major problem. It's, as he said, you've got a metal pipe that's abutted to plastic and it's not sealed well, but we are on top of that. And again, Jerry, thank you and happy birthday.
One more thing, like in the first storm that we had, the flood, I had the guys bring barricades out. Of course, I was the assistant at the time. I had the guys bring the barricades out, had them in place. And we got those up and the detour signs got brought up, and which is a very good idea. The next storm, I had both out and had them ready. We didn't have to use those at the second one because we didn't have to close anything off. But if anybody has any input on when that does happen, like you put the barricades out, we've used the detour signs. And if you're not from here and not familiar with Sky Valley up here, you're just visiting, what the detour signs really didn't change anything. You know what I'm saying? That they'll get, where are we at now once we get to here? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a hit or miss deal with if they're gonna find their way back out of Broadmoor Gate or not, you know, and we had 10 or 12 detour signs, but I'm all for any kind of input to try to make that better on that part, to make it easier and simpler.
We hear you, and I think that's one of the reasons we're working on what Jason calls our southern road. That may help also, but directing traffic to how to get out of here. Yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah,
We do.
thank y'all.
Thank you, Jerry.
Jerry, I didn't know the way, but I followed one of the city trucks out, so that's how I got out.
They did what now?
I followed one of the city trucks out.
Oh, yeah, that's the best thing to do when you catch it back and forth. It's tough sometimes.
Yes, it is. Chief Estes? Yeah, we need you over here so the owl can pick you up.
You want all this on
Yeah,
camera?
we want you on camera.
All right, well, I'll just pick up where Gary left off about the flooding of the roads and everything like that. It is a violation of the law to drive across a flooded road. And a great example of that is what happened here in Sky Valley when Knob Drive collapsed. When the water going underneath it, the roads can collapse. That's why we can't stop people. And we have people here all the time removing the barricades and going around the barricades and then getting mad at us about things like that. And you have to look at, like Jerry said, our manpower. I got myself, if I come out in the middle of the night and I've got one guy on shift, well, if we're having to stand there and babysit barricades, we can't lead you around to the back, because that's a 20, 30-minute time you're away from your post. And when you come back, you got cars sitting out here flooded because they drove around your barricade. So, you know, that's another issue. Now, one thing that this council may or may not remember, because you were not the council at the time, but we designed at one time an evacuation route plan. And it was going to, basically all it was going to entail of was these small, like if you lived in Florida, you know, the little evacuation signs, and affix them to the existing signpost evacuation route and direct people up and around Alex and down and out. But believe it or not, the resistance that was hit with us at that time was we got too many signs in Sky Valley already. And so it never got any traction, but we planned a route, signs costed it out, but we were shot down because people didn't want extra signs in town. And they could have been permanent, just mount them on the street post and have people follow them, little blue ones. And but that didn't get any traction. So you may want to consider revisiting that again, or if especially when the bottom road gets opened, that would be a lot quicker of a route out.
Right.
Anyway, that's just something, some food for thought on that right there. But that is an ongoing problem. Now, this last flood, we had a different problem that we had not had. I've been here 5 years, was we were directing people out and around, but for the first time since I've been here, Bald Mountain Road flooded. You know where the, y'all know where Miss Warren lives? Right below her in that dip, the road went underwater right there. So even if you went out the back route, you were stuck sitting on Bald Mountain. The water was coming across the road about this deep,
You're talking Eagle Circle?
down below it.
No.
Down below it, when you go past Caroline's house
Yeah.
and it loops around, you can see the golf course on the right,
Right.
right there, it flooded. It didn't stay flooded long, but it did stay flooded enough to make people who aren't from here panic, because they didn't know what to do. And as you know, if you're from here, all you had to do is turn around and go the other way, and it will eventually bring you out to Scaly Mountain. People who aren't from here, they don't understand. They don't know where they're at. Their GPS isn't working, and they kind of panic and they blow up 911. We're stranded, we're stranded, we're stranded. Well, I've got 2 guys on duty out here, and now I'm having to send them out there on calls. Plus, we still have traffic accidents while this is going on that we have to attend. So manpower can be an issue during times of it. Thank goodness we don't have a lot of that. Anyways, hopefully we won't have any more of that once we get that culvert fixed. It'll be a blessing for all of us. Other than that, on a positive note, what we're trying to do before the fall exodus and everyone leaves for the fall, we're going to try to have a town watch meeting. I know with COVID and everything, a lot of people don't like to gather or anything like that. So I've got 2 venues set aside that we can have them. One will be an indoor, or we can do it in an outdoor area. Depends on what the response is that I get for people wanting to come and talk. But it's just good to always have a sit down with people before they leave for the fall, especially the people that leave Georgia, to kind of, have a little forum where everybody can just kind of talk and share things. And we can remind them stuff like make sure you lock up and stuff like that. Your property is going to be unattended for the winter. Make sure that we have a contact in case of trees on your house. We can call you or something like that. So I'd like to try to have that. Plus, it gets people together and talk. We tried to coordinate a joint meeting with the POA, but that didn't work out. We are planning on in the future having some joint events between the Town Watch and the POA and bring those 2 groups of people together to create more dialogue. And Madam Mayor's husband's been helping me with that. He's been the blessing that has came to me, because when Miss Maureen Platt passed away, no one picked up her work with Town Watch and moved forward with it. She was creating a senior watch program for all of our medically disabled people with special medical needs and things like that, making sure we had all of that taken care of and covered, points of contact and things like that. Well, when Miss Platt passed, no one picked that up. And we paid a heavy penalty for that because Miss Leathers' emergency contact person was Miss Platt. So we saw that there is a huge need for that. And thank goodness he has picked that up. He's putting together that program. He's put the finishing touches on. He's done a great job of what he's created so far. And we're going to try to incorporate these 2 programs together. The Town Watch, the Senior Watch is what we called it. We're going to call it now the Citizen Watch. And we're going to move forward with that so that we can make sure that not the police don't need access to your house and everything, but you have an emergency contact in place so that if we have another person in crisis, there is someone in town that can get in there to check on them, and you can get police and EMTs in that house with them on a timely fashion so that we can avoid something unfortunate happen. So that's the big thing that we're working on right now. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about in depth whenever we have our Town Watch meeting on October 14th. That's what the scheduled date is. It may change depending on what goes on in town at the moment, but that's the targeted date. And it can be an indoor or an outdoor event, pretty much going to depend on how many people shows up. If we have too many people to fit in the basement of the chapel, we will move it over to the pavilion and have an outdoor event, because we don't want people not coming because they don't feel comfortable being in a room with a lot of people. So we've got 2 different venues set up for that. Outside of that, we're about every 2 years, we coordinate and we have a a class with the Scaly Mountain Fire Department for our CPR and our AED training. So we make sure that all of our people are certified and everything on the AED and on their CPR. One thing that we're trying to get scheduled now is that's a certification course. But I know everyone don't need certified, so we're also going to try to plan. The fire department hasn't committed 100% to it yet because COVID restrictions. We would like to offer an open course, just a friends and family course is what they call it, to the community. Now, you won't get a certification from it, so you don't have to pay anything to attend. You have to pay to attend if you get a certification course. But it gives you the basics of what you need to do in case you encounter a person in crisis with CPR, choking, or something like that. Just a refresher course, because most people have already had the course at some point. But it's to be a community course so that we can open it up to anyone. And that's another thing that we were trying to plan, but whenever the Delta variant kicked in and the cases started going up, our instructors backed off of that. Hopefully we can get that rescheduled. So that's another thing that we're trying to get, especially as we approach the winter months and a lot of, the permanent residents are here. And a lot of you guys know when the weather turns bad, the only help you've got are the people that's already up here on top of the mountain. And that's something that we've got to prepare for. And with all that being said, I've worked with Jerry and James over the years since I've been here. And I can honestly say that you're in good hands with Jerry. He's phenomenal. He's been great to me since I've been here. He's always been over backwards to help us in anything we need. And I'm happy for him, and I think you'll be happy to. Any questions that you guys have on anything? Yes, sir.
I think in one of your reports, you mentioned a need for more AED equipment. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, we would like to get a couple more AEDs just so we have them more readily available. Preferably, we would like to have one in each one of our patrol vehicles instead of dragging them around. That way, no matter who's on shift, there's an AED somewhere in Sky Valley. We'd also like to have them in a couple of permanent locations. We did coordinate with the chapel. They have one permanently mounted up there. They bought it, they paid for it, and everything like that, and they put it there. City Hall, however, the city shop does not have one. The only one they have is the one that's riding around in the police car that's on shift. So it'd be nice to have one there because we've had several people pull in to City Hall needing help. And they have to call us because we're here somewhere to get back to City Hall.
What do we talk about money with?
They cost, depending on the ones that you buy, the ones that we have cost around $2,000 a piece.
Wow. I can see why we don't have more. I think the club has one too.
The club has, Timeshare was going to buy one as well. I don't know if they ever did or not, but I believe the club does have one. I think it's in the cart barn, if I'm not mistaken, or that's where, or maybe it's in there where Steve's at. And the chapel has one.
Are the portables the same cost as the stationary ones?
Well, everything we have is portable. They come in a carry bag and everything. The only thing we have to do is about once a year, do a battery test and reorder batteries. Other than that, they're completely mobile. Now, the ones you see permanently mounted, the box is permanently mounted and the AED is in the box. You open the box, you can take the AED out and go anywhere you want. You can jump in the golf cart and take off if you needed to, or whatever. But everything that we have is in a carry bag, and they keep them in all the patrol cars.
As far as your town watch meeting, if you need to get with Jason and borrow our owl so people not everybody has to show up but can participate by internet, that we'll be glad to let you all do that if that'll help.
Absolutely, we can definitely do that. That's fine, because the whole thing is to get people communicating and everything, because we've had a lot of people, just since I've been here, a large turnover in our citizenry. You used to know your neighbors. Now a lot of us don't know our neighbors. And we've got houses that used to be a permanent resident, and then they, for some reason, have left. Now it's a rental, and you never know who's in there from weekend to weekend. So we've had a huge turnover, and a lot of people think that they know everyone, and really you don't, because we've had a large turnover. We got several new houses being built right now. So we've got some different things. Like we got a house being built on the tip top of Bayberry, for example. Well, historically, they never had to plow that road all the way to the top because no one was up there. We didn't need to worry about getting an ambulance up there. Well, that's gonna give a whole, that, if you've been up that road, it's steep and winding. That's gonna create a little bit of a plan for them, because that's something that we haven't had to do. Speaking of roads, we've had several people complain about Knob Drive, where the pavement ends and Bayberry turns off, going to the trailhead, how that road is rutted, and we've had several people call, thinking they're stuck, can't get in, and upset that they can't reach the trailhead. Well, that's not an official trailhead, if anyone gives you grief about it. The way it was explained to me when I came here from Linda was that trailhead is on private property. Those people just allow people to park there and hike up the backside of Ravenball. But it's not an official trailhead. It's not city property. It is private property. So we've had to explain that to a couple of people who just came in and unloaded. Y'all need to do something about that road. I can't get to the trailhead. Well, it's not official. So I don't know if you want to address that or how you want to deal with it. We've just been explaining it to them that it's not official. The official trailhead is around on Kelsey Mountain Road. And we've been diverting them over there. Some are happy, some are not, so it's just kind of hit or miss with that.
Chief,
Yes, sir.
I'm not one who's complained about Knob Drive, and I'm not necessarily saying this to you, I'm saying it to the whole council.
Yes, sir.
We do have permission to use the property. Trailhead is the one that leads over to Ravenball and connects with Bartram Trail. That whole extension of Knob Drive is a wonderful place to hike. It's a wonderful place to walk your dog, and it's an asset to the community. Now, recently, we had a culvert up there that was overflowing and really accelerating the deterioration of the road. We almost lost the road. Public Works was able to take a blade up there and smooth things out and restore access. Well, it's still steep. And as long as it's steep, it's going to continue to erode. And I think eventually, over time, we need to figure out a way to get that paved because it's an asset to the community. We're talking about attracting younger folks and hike over to Ravenball. Man, that's a first class hike in these mountains. So in the long term, I would hope that we could do something to safeguard that road and maintain access up that way.
It's an advanced trail, but it's a good trail.
That plus the ditches.
Right. Yeah. The other thing is if people are up there, we want to make sure everyone knows, if you're out hiking in areas like that, keep your dog on a leash. Don't keep them beside you because the hogs will attack and kill your dog. And we are constantly catching hogs. We don't have the overabundance like we did a couple of years ago when we were catching 30 at a time. No, but every week, 5, 6, 3, 4, 10, every week, because they're in our area right now and they're out and they will get after dogs. And just keep that in mind. If someone asks you and tells you they want to go hike in an area like that, make sure that they understand that there is that threat. Because people that aren't from here, that have never been here, show up and they're amazed. Wow, you have hogs and bears? We're like, yes, you are in the mountains, but a lot of people kind of don't think that way. And we have to kind of remind them. Yes, sir.
The flooding that took place on Bald Mountain Road, is that the result of maybe lack of maintenance, or what do we attribute that flooding to?
We took care of it. It was stopped up with like straw, like pine
Good,
straw
okay.
and that type of stuff. And as soon as we got through that, I sent 2 guys out there, got it cleaned up. And it's opened up now.
It wasn't blocked for long because we started getting 911 calls. The time we got over there, was 3 or 4 cars there and y'all were there within just minutes and it was cleared. But we had never dealt with that before. So that was just a great evening for all of us.
Him mentioning trees, like, and Dustin, when Dustin gets back, the one that's doing the CDL, the bucket truck and stuff will be out But we got a lot and lots of trimming. I mean, a lot of people like the canopy look. Snow plowing season, it's tough. You're gonna be pushing limbs more than you are snow if we don't get a lot of that cut back, but we'll be working on that.
In the canopy, if we don't do something with the canopy, it depends on what your interest is in it. We could very easily lose our Firewise status because part of the Firewise thing is to keep your canopies cleared so that the road will be a fire break and it won't jump the road. But our canopies are completely encompassed in a lot of stuff. And that's a Firewise thing that that you may want to think about.
I need to get with you at some time. Is it the lower culvert on that road?
I'm not sure. I was talking with Jason about a culvert, where the bear trace sign is on Cobblewood. Right there, there's a culvert there.
But is that where it's the ground levels below the culvert?
Yeah, because you can have a heavy rain and look on the other side and there's nothing coming out of the pipe. So it's circumventing it below. And that could be
I
an
meant
issue.
to touch on that a while ago. Me and him have rode out there and looked at it, me and Jason, and it's on the list too. It's so much on it right now.
Understood.
We're gonna try to get to everything we need to get to.
But it's right near, just before coming to our house, before the bear trace sign. It's right in that area, at that corner coming around.
Thank you, Chief Estes.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is committee reports, and we have 2 committee reports to be given this morning. Bruce, do you want to go ahead and give
Sure.
your report first?
Yeah, this is special projects. We're working on restoring the Fall Fest, and we're going to look at maybe additional events. But for right now, I think we're focusing on Fall Fest. Ken Walton and Tony Allred and I are going to be meeting and seeing what we need to do to make that happen. Tony, I think, has a couple, at least one solution or an avenue option over and above the city taking that in our purview. And we're going to work in conjunction with the hay bale trail. And from what I understand, that is what we have done in the past with the hay bale trail was in conjunction with the Fall Fest. So I think it's a real good idea. And so we're going to be starting on that probably in the next couple of weeks, because it's going to take a lot longer than normally, because there's a lot of contractors that would like to get the work, but it's further impacted by the contractors being able to find people to work. But we'll get out in front of that so that next year we can have fall activities to bring some people into Sky Valley. Tomorrow, weather permitting, we're going to have a cleanup of the roads from the front entrance to the junction, Bella's, and from Bella's down to the Welcome Center. In the event that we have a rain out, which is possible, we'd like to schedule that for the following day, Thursday. I think it's the 23rd, which is supposed to be a pretty day. So keep that in mind, and all volunteers are welcome so that we can get that cleaned up. We're trying to do that every quarter to keep it maintained. The Special Projects Committee is working on park improvements, especially the area between the pickleball courts and the city pavilion, to possibly get it done this fall as a fall project so that we can keep it in-house. But to dress that area, make it more presentable, where the parking area is between the court and the pavilion and immediately in front of the bathrooms, and possibly do some simple landscaping, low maintenance, to improve the area in the park. We're also looking at addressing and repairing, mitigating the erosion on Mud Creek Trail. If people out there are using that, you see at the trailhead, there's erosion issues that we're going to be addressing. And also down towards the end of it, which is right across from the first sign coming up, Sky Valley sign coming up 246, there's erosion problems. So those are two key areas we're looking at, and going to be budgeting to fix those two issues. We're also going to be continue working with Timeshare to make improvements on their timeshare park. It appears the maintenance building down there, the improvements are complete. Is that correct, Jerry? On the maintenance building at the park, right by the post office, is all that work completed on that building? The laundry, I know it's called the laundry building, over by the lake or the pond, by the dam.
I don't know if they're done or not.
Yeah, if they're not done, I think they're almost closing in on it. And the understanding is once they complete that, they're going to address the timeshare park because it needs some cleaning up and maintenance there. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Bruce. I believe Bob O'Keefe is on Zoom. Jason, if you can hook him up to do his report for the marketing committee.
I'm going to unmute him. Let's see.
I'm here. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. For information, we will have our monthly marketing on this Thursday at 10 o'clock on Zoom. Per Madam Mayor's request, got a little involved in the hay bale trail. First off, marketing committee is going to have a hay bale, and I've been in contact with other entities outside of Sky Valley, including Sv Rcm, to see if there were any other businesses or communities that wanted to be involved. Sent them the information. Haven't had any acceptances yet, but there's still a little bit of time for that. We're continuing with Doug Hollingsworth, who's our marketing consultant. Past month, he had an article in one of the golf magazines. He does a great job, and each month sends out email blasts with a variety of information. It varies each month to between 50 and 200,000 of his contact. Currently, we have our last two print ads in publication. We have a full page ad in the digest size North Georgia Mountain Valley Vacation Guide, and we will have a half page ad in the Mountain Traveler magazine. They should be out there for pickup at any of those places that you normally walk into and have those type of brochures. Our photographer is still working periodically through the year. We're expecting he's going to come up sometime in October during the peak of our leaf season. And we have one of our marketing committee members, I believe it's Jim Curtis, who's going to keep him on call rather than schedule a date in advance that may not be. We're going to call him and say, hey, we're in peak, get up here and take some photos and drone footage. I've been in contact with him about the production of the promotional videos that could be used for a variety of purposes. They're not finished yet, mostly because we have not got pictures of all the seasons. We'll probably be discussing that on Thursday. Let's see. We've had a series of meetings looking to contract a website developer. We've had meetings with Madam Mayor and the city manager and POA and marketing and city representative. Our current website, we are going to separate and have a separate called a visitor or travel website, or called the marketing website. so that we do have a freestanding and sole use city website, and then have a separate visitors website that will be connected so that you'll be able to toggle back and forth. But we want to make it much better than it is, a lot more user-friendly, giving information to people that they would normally look for when they're looking for a place to come stay, visit, or live. We have not made a commitment yet. We've narrowed down some choices. We've gotten some bids for the marketing side. We have put money aside from this year's budget. So we believe we have the funds available, and that is still a process that we are working on. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Bob. All right, new business is to consider approval of the amended water ordinance. This is our first reading, and if you'll kind of go over the process of changing ordinances, Jason, and then take it from there.
Madam Mayor and Council, this amendment to the water ordinance is 95% in regards to our leak protection process, namely the removal of our current policy and the introduction of the Serve leak protection program, in which the city is partnering to provide a low-cost insurance policy. The other 5% removes the redundancy of the fee schedule and references that fees are established by the city council, and those fees are, of course, addressed in our fee ordinance. The other small change has to do with clearing up any misunderstanding of where the city's responsibility ends, namely where the customer's piping is attached to the city's installed homeowner valve. In the past, there has been interpretational issues to include requiring customers to bear the cost of maintenance and repairs of water leaks between the city installed meter and city installed homeowner valve. Now the ordinance states that the city responsibility ends where the homeowner valve joins up to the customer's piping. Furthermore, the homeowner may have access to the homeowner valve to turn on or off water, yet is responsible for any damage to the homeowner valve during the action of cutting water on and off. Of course, the customer can have the city cut the water on or off, in which the city would be responsible as usual for any damage to either the meter in which the customer is not allowed to touch, and or the homeowner valve in which the city installs. In regards to the Serve leak protection policy, this has been well discussed and duly advertised. We had a public hearing on this earlier in the year and have had no less than 2 work sessions to discuss. Additional information regarding the leak protection program has been made available to customers, existing or potential, to include website postings and notices and the water bill, etc. I've got, Doug, I hate to put you on the spot here. Good morning, but I believe at minimum, would I just need to read the Serve line? I mean, that is the lion's share of the changes.
In an ordinance this large, you don't have to read the entire thing. Just after the first reading, I would post a copy of it at City Hall for anybody who wants to come in and take a look at it. I'm
going to read through this. This will take just a moment, but I will be as brief and precise as I can. The particulars is section 15, complaints and adjustments. A, leak adjustment. For all eligible water users, any and all requests for adjustments to city services, water utility bills shall be in accordance with the provisions and subject to the limitations contained within this water leak adjustment policy. Number 1, customer responsibility. The city's ownership and maintenance obligations as outlined by city code for the water distribution system includes the public water mains. The customer's ownership and maintenance obligations as outlined by city code include the customer's tap at the water main and the water service lines extending to the structure, as well as the premise plumbing and fixtures. The city code outlines the above delineation of ownership and maintenance obligations. The city, through practice, has maintained residential service lines from the public water line main to and including the curb stop. Based on this practice, The residential and commercial customers responsible for the water service line from the curb stop to the structure, as well as the premise plumbing and fixtures. If the customer's responsibility to keep his or her water line and plumbing system, it is the customer's responsibility to keep his or her water line and plumbing system in good working order. That said, water leaks do occur from time to time, resulting in unexpectedly high city service utility bills. 2, water line adjustment program. The city of Sky Valley has partnered with Home Serve USA and our Servline, its affiliates, subsidiaries, and other assignees, herein referred to as Servline, to provide the city's residential water customers with water leak adjustment insurance coverage for one adjustment of up to $2,500 each year. This coverage provides payment of unexpectedly high city service utility bills due to qualifying leaks. The following conditions, provisions, and limitations apply. A, qualifying leaks. Any leak other than those non-qualifying leaks listed below that generates a minimum additional charge resulting in a city services utility bill that is twice the average water bill of that customer, calculated over a 12-month period up to a maximum adjustment of $2,500 during any 12-month period. For water customers who have been on the city's water system for less than 12 months, a water leak adjustment will not be made until at least 3 months of average water usage has been established. B, non-qualifying leaks or usage. The following leaks or use of water do not qualify for a water leak adjustment under this policy. 1, industrial customers. 2, commercial customers who do not have a water meter and or who are not the responsible party for the city's services utility bill. 3, residential customers who do not have a water meter and or who are not responsible party for the city's service utility bill. 4, leaks associated with structures that have been left or abandoned without reasonable care for the plumbing system, i.e. unattended homes that have not had the meter turned off and water drained from plumbing systems, or homes that have been left for any period of time without heat. 5, leaks on irrigation system or irrigation lines. 6, filling of water features such as fountains or fish ponds, or leaks associated with water features. 7, filling of leaks associated with and or general water usage associated with outdoor recreational activities such as, but not limited to, hot tubs, pools, slip and slides, and sprinklers. 8, negligent or intentional acts such as leaving water running, i.e. leaving the outside faucet on, interior faucets left running, and or any other water left on in the home without a faulty plumbing issue, meaning there must be an actual break and repair for leak reimbursement. 9, leaks in any structure other than the primary residential structure, such as, but not limited to, detached garages or storage buildings. 10, filling swimming pools or leaks in swimming pools. 11, watering of lawns or gardens. And 12, washer or pressure washing driveways, cars, windows, or siding of any structure. 3, submission of claims. A, claims must be submitted to Servline within 90 days from the billing date. B, claims must be accompanied by proof that the leak has been repaired before the adjustment will be made, i.e. copy of invoice for materials, bill from plumber, receipt for repair parts, utilized by the homeowner for repair, meter consumption information when available. C, call Servline to initiate a claim. 4, limitations. A leak adjustment can encompass no more than 2 billing cycles. No customer shall receive more than 1 leak adjustment during any 12-month period. Water leak adjustment coverage assists with the payment of high city service utility bills due to qualifying water leaks, but does not provide any reimbursement for the repair or replacement of water lines or plumbing fixtures. 5, monthly fees. Monthly fees for the Servline service shall be established by the City of Sky Valley City Council and shall be added to the customer utility water bill as follows. $2.50 per month for single-family residential customers. $6.65 per month for single occupancy commercial customers. $13.15 per month for multiple occupancy commercial customers, $2.65 per month per unit for master meter multi-tenant residential customers. Monthly fees include a 15 cent a month administrative fee and shall be paid to the city of Sky Valley. 6, enrollment. Residential and commercial customers are automatically enrolled when a new account is established unless the customer calls Servline to decline participation. There is a 30-day waiting period for water leak adjustment coverage to take effect after the new account is established. Water leak adjustment coverage fees will be included on the monthly city utility service bill. 7, option to decline program. Water customers are entitled to decline the water leak adjustment protection set out in this policy by calling Servline customer service that have opted out of this program and will not be customers that have opted out of this program will not be entitled to any adjustment to the city's service utility bills, and the water customer will remain fully responsible for any and all amounts due. Customers may re-enroll in the water leak adjustment program after they have opted out of the program. There is a 30-day waiting period for water leak adjustment coverage to take effect after the customer is enrolled in the program. How to contact Servline. All questions or comments concerning this water leak adjustment policy should be directed to Servline by calling the dedicated customer service telephone number. For metered water uses with disputed meter readings, the following shall apply. The city may perform a special water meter reading at the request of a user when the customer's water usage is in excess of normal range by more than 1,000 gallons. 2, if the seal or meter is broken by someone other than a city representative, or if the meter fails to register correctly or is stopped for any cause, the user shall pay an amount estimated from the record of his previous bills and or from other proper data. Finally, if a meter has been locked by the city and a water user has tampered with or removed the city's locks, the user can be cited for damage to public property and fined in accordance with Section 17. That is the details of the Servline program is read, and it's entirely in this first reading. Any questions?
When do we think this is going to be added to people's bill, which means when does it go, when do we project that it will go into effect if we do this in a normal fashion?
Councilor, originally this was supposed to go into effect October 1st. There was some erroneous information in the flyer where multi-tenant users were not going to be allowed or commercial. We have spoken with Servline. We are updating that information to make that correct. That will go in the November water bill. This is the first reading here. The second reading and adoption is slated to take effect on October 19th. This ordinance update would go into effect on December 1st, and then the Servline would go into effect January 1st, 2022. Being that it's insurance, they have to have a 60-day notice. And with us, this being adopted by November 1st, that gives November and December the 60 days for January 1st online.
So I'm not sure I caught all of that. I think you said that we begin charging people December 1st.
The ordinance updates will go into effect December 1st. The Servline will not go into effect until January 1st.
Got it.
That's just to give customers more time to opt out. We've had probably about a dozen customers opt out. But again, we just want to stress that the way this program is set up, being that it is insurance, you have to opt out. And there's information available to anybody that would like to do that. But if you do not opt out, effective January 1st, this goes into effect, and the fee schedule as I presented will be added to your bill.
So if a claim occurs based on the usage January 2nd, that would be covered for existing customers who have a 90-day record of service of water use.
That I would reserve, I would reserve that. Let Servline answer that question. They have dedicated staff to answer. They're the ones who determine what is covered and not covered. So I would hate to speak on their behalf and speak wrong, but they would be the ones to determine what is a qualifying coverage.
Yes,
Essentially,
my question.
what this does is, the only benefit the city receives to this would be that in the event a customer has a high water bill, if they do what they normally would have to do, get the repair fixed, have the plumber come out, they submit all the information to Servline, not the city. And then if all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted, they meet all the requirements for a qualifying leak, Servline pays the city the difference on their behalf. So let's, again, to reiterate, if you have an average $100 a month water bill, you have a leak, all of a sudden you have a $1,500 water bill. You submit all the required documentation to Servline, not the city, to Servline. They determine that it is a qualifying leak. Once they've done everything they need to do, you've got your plumbing fixed, the repair fixed, you would have to pay the average of the 12 months would be, if it averages $100, that's almost like a deductible. You pay that, Servline would pay the remaining $1,400 to the city. So it's, again, it's, I did the estimation, the city will receive about 15 cents per customer. That comes out to about a whopping $1,000 a year. So it's, again, this benefit is for the citizens. Really, the city does not receive any benefit other than it's just another means for a customer to have their high water bill paid.
Okay. When do we get to ask Servline that question? Maybe back here, or should we just call them up now?
I can call, I can speak with them.
Okay.
We have a complete
I just want to know when the citizens can rest easy that they're not exposed to the bill, whether it's March 1st or January 2nd.
Again, I will ask that question, but I would, obviously with the opt-in, the 60 days, when it goes into effect January 1st, I would say that that 30 days would be waived. Obviously, they have to wait 60 days, so that should be going live January 1st, but I will confirm that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Jason. And so from here, we will go to our second reading, which will be at our October council meeting, and then the council will be given a chance to approve or not this water ordinance. All right, now we're on to our other business, which is the public forum and general comments. And this is when people can make comments in front of the council. Please come up to the podium when you're recognized, state your name and your address, and know that no formal action can be taken. Do we have any public comments?
Anything on Zoom?
We have approximately 7 participants, but I do not see any notes in the chat box.
Okay. Anybody? All right. We appreciate you all coming. Thank you all. And do I hear a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you, Tony. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 And we hope that rain will not create more problems. Right, Chief? Thank you all for coming.